This is Gibson Young here talking to you from a man from the low country who used to flee around the roads on two wheels, Roy Reid. And we're in Roy's house, and along us we just here with Wally Crummy, a fold, and with Andy Bryn. So we're going to have a wee yarn about motorbikes and all things affiliated to that and stuff from the countryside and Ulster Scots life in general. And we'll start off, Roy, with you, and you can tell us who you are, who you come to be here, very briefly.
I will. This is a long story, you know.
That's all right.
And I want to tell you something. Before I'm halfway through it, you boys will be all sleeping. Just a bored stuff. But do you want me to go on ahead?
Oh, you go ahead. Just give us a shortened version.
Well, that'll be about 3 years.
Boys.
Well, what do you want to really know?
Well, where were you brought up at originally?
I was born in Ballyhalbert in 1938. I'm pre-war.
Uh-huh.
I'm better stuff than post-war.
Oh,
I'm the real stuff.
the real McCoy, as it said.
Well, anyhow, what happened to me was, as you know, every schoolboy's dream is to be maybe a famous rugby player or a footballer. But I had no interest in that. I was only interested in motorbikes, even if it was a skill. But then that didn't happen, as you know. Well, anyhow, when I was about 11 years old, I went myself to see the Corridor Hunter. And we were standing on her up at what's called the S Bend up in the Genova Road. And I heard them old bikes coming along the shore. And the noise, boy, it was serious. And they come up by me and I swore the ground shook.
Aye.
And the smell of the oil and the petrol, I was hooked. Boy, I says, someday I wonder could ever I do that. But that wasn't going to happen. And then I wanted a motorbike and I started work, serving my time at the Scrabba Housing Estate. And there was 2 joiners working along with me. And I mentioned to them I wanted a new motorbike. And Yellen says, I'll sell you a motorbike. I says, what is it? He says, a 1928 350 AGS. Much do you want for it? £3.
Boys, you dear, £3.
That's it. I was shocked at the £3.
Uh-huh.
Well, he says there's only one thing wrong. He says it's in bits. But he says it's all there, complete. So I got him the £3, and he brought me a bit every day, and I carried him in the bus. A wheel this next, and a frame another next, and forks. And I got it all home and into the scullery. I knew nothing about building motorbikes. But I started to build it, and getting bits put on it, and I finally got it built. And boy, I was pleased that I could build a motorbike, and then getting it started, that was another problem. But I worked at it in points and all, and I finally got it going by us as I'm being now. Well, anyhow, what should have happened, I should have started racing when I was 18, when I had a bit of nerve. But that didn't happen. I was 23 of that before I started racing. And I found this old Gold Star, Brave Alien, and I brought it home and dug it up. And here where the Corridor Hunter was coming. Well, I suppose this is my chance now, so I entered for the Corridor Hunter. That was 1962, September.
That's the year I was born.
Oh, well, there you are, you see.
Good year.
It wasn't a good year for me. Well, anyhow, I went up to the grid and they put me at the very back. You see, the fast men were all at the front, and the slower you were, the farther back. Well, I started and got her going, and it was 100 mile, that race. And it was 10 mile a lap. And I got ridden the first lap, half roads run, and I caught the leaders. I couldn't believe it. And I hung on to them to come to Woburn. And there was about 5 in front of me, they were in a line like geese. And they shot off. I never shot off. I passed the lot of them. I got round the corner. And there's the leader. And I was going too quick, and I hit his back wheel. Fortunately, he didn't come off. I was flung down the road. And I wasn't hurt, but it broke the levers and all off her. And that was my racing for 62. Now, that was a lesson. That was a hard lesson. To learn how to ride with these boys. Well, then in 1963, the Corridor came running again. I'd read all season, and I had learned a bit, you see. So the corridor, you see, that's the one I wanted the day wheel in. Well, that day, Willie, I'm sure you may not lashed. It lashed out of the heavens. And I had no mud guards, neither front nor back.
What's it there?
And I finished the race, and when I came in, I was soaked. I got everything through under the cart home. I couldn't get home quick enough to get the old wax glazing off in case I got a founder. And we listened to the sports news on the radio, the wireless. We didn't need television. And we were sitting listening to the sports. Next thing I come onto the thing, Walter Reid was the fastest Irish rider and handicap in the day's corridor 100. I nearly fell off the chair. I got a shock. I didn't know nothing about this. But we things that got help, you know, makes you. Well, then in 1964, Nortons were doing all the winning. So I says, I'll have to get a Norton. So I sailed the Gold Star and I bought this Norton. And oh dear, first thing I do, and I pulled it all apart to see what made Nortons go so quick. That was the wrong thing, because Nortons, you see, it's all shams. There's no adjustment, nothing. It's shams you have to work with. But me, like a silly idiot, I took all the shams and threw them all here, all mixed up.
Oh dear.
Well, then when I went to put it back, I didn't know what shams to put in, and I rung this, and he said, then he put too money in it, but too tough. And the other boy says, put less on it, it'll be too slack. But I finally got it all nailed together, and that year, I done brave and well. Of course, come the corridor 100. And this was the yen you wanted, and I'd got her going bravely for it. And the flag dropped. And I got up to third place, third and scratch, behind the 2 leaders. It was Creeth and McCosh. Well, I couldn't catch them.
That's Billy McCosh up the country.
Well, I couldn't stay with them, but it was a safe third. The fourth man wasn't anywhere near me. And 3/4 through the race, still a safe third, down to Kilbright Crossroads. I didn't know whether there was oil on the road or petrol or oil in my back wheel, but next thing I was flung up the road. Oh boy, I was disappointed. Sure there was a podium. But I wasn't hurt, but I felt something warm in my hand. I looked down, the blood was coming out of my glove. So they rushed me down to the first aid. And the doctor says, well, had he stitched this? And I seen this nurse coming with this big syringe. I says, where are you going with that? She says, I'm going to jag your hand to freeze it. I said, I'll jag my hand with that. I'll run out and come home. And I wrapped her up myself, but I should have got them to stitch it. Well, then in 1965, I rode Brave below. I'd got good places, fourth or fifth, and that was good for me. But the corridor was the one I wanted the day we in. So I couldn't get down Norton and go and rest. I'd worked on it. So Raymond Spence was in corridor at that time, he mine. And Raymond knew all about Nortons, and he was Irish champion himself. So I mentioned him one day, I says, Raymond, that's old big. He says, bring it over, and we'll have a look at it. So we went over, and he put a timing disc and all on it, and worked on it. And I'm trying to see what he's doing. You see, this is how you learn by experts. So he worked on it for a while, and he says, try that. Boy, what a difference, Well, then there was a short circuit coming up at Kirkerson, and it was in the paper, the winner of the 500 race would get this Tato Cup. Tato Cup, I says, what's this Tato Cup? Well, there was a firm in Tonder gave me a Prodicris, Tato. That's who was putting the cup up. And I got it in my head, boy, it'd be great if I could win this Tato Cup, but that was only imagination. But that day, Willie, I'll tell you, I come down on steroids, and I got away on the lead. And I held it many laps.
No, I had a full film of it, the whole race.
The whole thing?
And
the whole race.
The Ryan Norton wasn't making any ground on me. And I says, I knew in the middle of that race, if the Ryan Norton hadn't caught me then.
That's Joe Ryan Norton?
Joe Ryan Norton.
Riding it.
Yeah. That I'm going to win this race. I knew I would have won it, unless I fell off. And about 3 laps of then, the water got inside my goggles. I felt them up. I had to pull them down around here. And he come by and the spray his back wheel and on every, I could see nothing. Finished second.
It was the worst ever. That I never forget it. And it was coming like it was rain. It was like stair roads and stuff like
Aye.
that. And it was baiting off them. And a lot of the boys were coming with their feet down, paddling around the corner. Him and Creeth, you could see Creeth was making this know him. Then I thought to myself, what's happened? Because he dropped back and I went up and talked to him in the paddock and he told me, you know, you're just annoyed at a simple thing like that.
Oh, that's it.
The water got in the goggles. End of story.
Yeah,
Other than that, he was winning the race.
I was got it. Now Joe Ryan, you wouldn't have went near Joe. Joe was a quiet man, and you had to respect him. Joe come over to me that day, boy, says you're going well there. I says, Joe, my goggles full of water. Who was that? What happened to you? Joe, that was a good comment from her, wasn't it?
It was,
You know,
he was a nice man.
he was a nice man. That was 60. What was that? 65, wasn't it? 65. Well then, coming up to the Carrador again. The Carrador, we'll see now, the Carrador was on, September.
That's right, it was there September.
Say the first, you're saying the first Saturday.
The first Saturday, yes. So I got the old bike all tuned up for the Carrador. And at that time, I was racing motorbike and sidecar on the grass.
Oh, the grass tracking?
Oh, motorbike and sidecar. And I had a big accident. And the motorbike and sidecar went clean over the top of me.
Boys, you do.
And I was rushed to the hospital. They thought it was serious, but it wasn't serious. It was all badly bruised. I broke the collarbone. Oh, I says the Carrador coming up. And a broken collarbone, that's couldn't happen at the worst time. And I didn't know what to do. I never told anybody, for if the organisers had known, they would have let me go on it. So I said nothing. And I went that day with a broken collarbone, and I had to get somebody to push my bike out onto the line. And I says, boy, how am I going to start this with the pain, boy, any idea? And I said, if I miss her, I'll not be able to do it again with the pain, and I'll run as far as I could run with it. And she started. But then I couldn't get on. Every time, you know,
The pain is you feel your leg.
well, you need to do the pain, but I was determined.
Aye.
Didn't matter. So I finally got on, and when I laid in the tank, that eased. But the main thing is this hand was the throttle and the brake. That was the important thing. And I got into third place behind the 2 leaders, a safe third. And I done 95 mile that day with a broken collarbone. Halfway around the last lap, conked it home.
Oh, boys, you dear.
I begun to think Andy was jinxed, honestly. But you know, it's so near.
I know.
Podium place going, but anyhow, that's motorbike racing. Well, anyhow, I was vexed about that. But that was nothing to the news I got when I went back to the paddock. My good friend Johnny Brown had been killed in the race.
Remember that race?
Boy, that was a sickener. If ever there was a sickener, that sickened us. And I made a vow that day I would never get friendly with another motorbike rider for that reason. And I never done it.
We used to go up to his house in the winter time at next, you know. And he shouldn't have raced that day. He buried his dad on the Wednesday. And they coaxed him to race, and he went out and raced. And they never stopped the race.
Where did he come from?
Pretty gallantly.
Pretty good.
Oh,
Aye.
right.
He was killed at the wee S bend and the Huskin.
Huskin, aye.
The Huskin. And they never stopped the race. They
Boys, you
lifted his body and put it in the car and drove it to Ballywalter with him in the back of the car. And the race would really come up in the car on the road, wouldn't you?
I couldn't understand a car in the course. And that was somebody left it, and yeah. I was the last man to speak to him. I was on the grid sitting, and he came in alongside me, you know, to line up. And there was tears in his eyes. I says, that's not like Johnny Brown. He says, I shouldn't be here today. I says, why? He says, I buried my dad on Wednesday. He's killed and buried him the following one.
But not away.
Well, anyhow, that was 65. And in 1966, I won the Tandragee Honour, the handicap. Now, it doesn't matter, it's still a won. And to put the tin hat on it, I finished third in the mid-antrim. Well, that really pleased me. And then I got places right through 66. And my desire was, from I started racing, to ride in the greatest motorbike race in the whole world, the senior TT in the Le Mans. I wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in '67, I sent away for entries and got them back, and I got accepted. Boy, I was pleased.
Why so?
I mean, this was my ambition.
Aye.
So anyhow, on the Wednesday before, I was going on Friday night, but on the Wednesday before was the Cookstown 100.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Cookstown, the bike was going well at that time, and I was feeling good. And that day, there was no, Cookstown then was one big wide street. There was nothing in the middle the way it is now.
Aye,
And it was flat out. And you went down to the bottom and you went over this big steep hill. And then the course went this road. So I got away behind the leader. And we got over this hill, and I decided to go down the inside of him. I don't know what happened. But I lost control, and he's coming across, and I just banged straight into the middle, sent him flying, and I was flung out way on down the road. And I don't know, I must have been knocked out or stunned. And all I can remember was all these folk looking down at me. And I said, what's wrong? But it was the doctors and nurses.
Aye,
But I was all mixed up. And then I says, what about your man? And this boy piped up, he says, he's on the Undertakers.
Oh, your heart probably left you, boy. You must have thought I killed him.
Well, you no idea.
Aye.
Oh, he says, I shouldn't have said it like that. He says, there's an Undertakers across the street, and he's on there getting first aid.
Oh.
Aye, but I'm in a big enough pickle.
Aye.
But only how they worked on me, and they said, if I go to hospital. I says, I'm not going near a hospital, you'll have to. I says, no, I'm going near no hospital, so I wouldn't go. So I got boys to put their bike on, and I drove home. Boy, I was sore, you no idea. And then the thing was, I couldn't lift my arm the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And off I go to the Le Mans, the first thing you had to do when you go to Scrutineer is put your helmet on, but I couldn't do that. So I had my plan, I sat down like this, and I put the helmet on like that and stood up, and I got away with it. Well, anyhow, I set sail on Friday night myself, no sponsors, helpers, nothing. Only a tent, and that was everything. And I arrived there, and the next day I was at work on the old bike. So I'm going to show you the photos of these, and then you'll know yourself. This lad come by, and he stopped and he says, you're a bit of bother there, boy. I says, well, you can see I had a bit of an accident on. A bit of an accident, he says. I says, aye, that was Cookstown on Wednesday. So we started chatting, nice lad, and we got friendly. And every day he would come stop, and he says, I'm riding the same race as you. I have 500 out and two. Well, that, we started exchanging, you know, what timings and but the course and all that. Well, then you would do it after dawn in the morning, and you done 2 laps of the mountain. Practice. And then when you come in, one would have waited another and would have went away and got something to eat. And we enjoyed that, and there was chatting, you know, what way did the bike go and all the rest of it. But this morning I waited, and he should have been in. Well, I got to the stage I was worried about him, so I went to one of the officials and I says, did you run about my friend? He says, what did you call him? I told him his name. He says, you know, heard? I says, heard what? He says, he was killed this morning.
Dear.
Boy, oh dear. The thing I said it would never die would get friendly.
Close.
Yeah, it was again.
I use the word got it, but what else?
Aye.
Well, that's racing.
That's just a bit of it, right?
So anyhow, I heard that his bike had seized in the mountain and he was killed outright. Well, what do you do? Well, it come the race day Friday. See, I had 2 weeks, a week of practice to get everything sort of working, and a week before the big race, the senior. So I went out onto the line that day. I was number 89. And I looked up down Glen Crutchery Road, and there was 88 bikes shining, and all these top riders on them, and works Hondas, and works MVs, and works Yamahas, and works Suzuki's, and world champions on them. And I looked back, and there was about 15 behind me. And I says to myself, I shouldn't be here, man, all this.
Aye.
And I'll tell you the truth, I was nearly tempted to come out of it. And then I says to myself, you're here now, it's your ambition. If you can only do a lap, you can say you rode on it.
Exactly.
Well, I heard the flag dropped and I got away. And that first lap, boy, you no idea. I was going to hurt myself
Mhm.
because I was going in there in an old van at 60 mile there. Well, you're on a motorbike and you're doing twice that. And these corners, you can't learn the Isle of Man in a short time. You can't do it. And there's corners look the same, but they're no. And unless you're in a line, you come out and you're nearly on the dike here. Well, I says, I'm going to hurt myself. I'll just ride the race. I finished it. I couldn't believe they're Norton held together.
Money laps was that, Roy?
6 laps, 200,
Six.
226 lines.
Still the same then. So
Oh, that was the full 37 3/4 mile a lap. And you come up at a Ramsey every lap and you hear rattles, or you maybe hear rattles. And you're saying, as long as that's the thing going to stand there. But I finished the race, I was delighted. This man came over to me and he says, I says, what? He says, it's an invitation. I says, to what? To the big prize giving ceremony. I took it. I says, why do they want me at that? For I never went to a prize giving ceremony, North or South Ireland. And only a child has now covered it there, what, about 60 trophies on it.
Oh, sure.
Never went to Jens. Never. The only prize giving I went at was this year, before or since. And no many folk would say that.
That's right.
Well, only here I went, and it was packed to the rafters with juniors and sponsors and world champions and all the rest of it. And I'm sitting in among all this folk, crowded. And they were giving out the names of the prize winners. And the next thing, after a while, I heard my name mentioned, and I thought I was hearing things, but it wasn't I. So I had to get out through all these folk and go up onto the stage. And about this dignitary, he shook my hand, and this other man came forward and he says, congratulations, he says, you've won a bronze replica. Well, I couldn't believe it. I would have been happy enough for the finish, a bronze replica, inscribed and all, speed and all on it. He says, you finished 28th. I says, what?
Why 28th and all that?
There was 108 starters, but you had to understand there was a lot broke down. There's still that.
That was good going, right?
Well, I couldn't believe it, and I'd fulfilled my mission. I was pleased. Well, anyhow, 1968, all the boys, just like myself, were selling these Nortons, and they were buying these Sealies. These Sealies were lighter and faster and all the rest of it. So they were getting these Sealies. Well, I says, if I'm going to stay on the hunt, I'll have to get a Sealie. So there was a mate of mine, and he had an old 40 at Vaughan then, and we headed for Liverpool. And we got to Liverpool, we went to the old van, it wouldn't start. So I says, this is a pickle. So a doctor called me a rope and he told us around on docks, and this whole thing banged and spluttered to us, says, this is it. Well, finally it lit up, got it started, and we headed for Kent.
Kent?
And the snow and ice now, this is January. This is January 1971.
Oh, aye.
And the first thing going up was the heater. And what I would have gone to get him sitting at the fire, but we went on, and the next thing the wipers stopped.
Boys are dear.
And them big lorries were sailing by, and you would spray. I don't know who we got to Kent, but we got there, and I bought the Sealy and we brought it to him. And I did in the first road race on it, Tandragee Hunter, and the flag dropped, and I got on behind Billy McCosh. Billy had the fastest Sealy. Billy had, his bike was tuned by Francis Beard. And I says, right, he got the bike, he got the Sealy, let's go for it. Could I pass him? No. I hung on to him the whole race. I'll show you the photograph. And coming out of them Bell's House crossroads, when he came out, he just shot away like that. But I caught him up again the next thing. His bike was far quicker. There was no question. I'll show you the photograph. Only how I finished the race. And that season, I knew the bike wasn't going right. Because my bike seemed slower. Everybody blames the bike. But I know the bike's no right. So way later on in the year, I went over to Billy, and he was an expert on them. And I said, Billy, give me an idea what's wrong with this. He said, come and have a look at it. So he looked at it, he says, well, the first thing wrong, that's the wrong cylinder head on it. And he says, as well as that, that's the wrong barrel. I said, you're joking? No, he says, that's wrong. Well, I says, Billy, where am I going to get the money for all that? I spent all this money and all this here. Well, he says, it's up to yourself if you put it on it. That's the only bit, yeah. So I sent away and I got the new hidden barrel. But boy, what a change. What a change. Well, anyhow, come 1972, there was a big race advertised for Magabry. And it was on the paper that Tommy Rowe was coming with a new Yamsel. These were the things, these were the machines. And his main opposition would be Raymond McCulloch and a new Armaki. And there was a whole thing about them, you know. Rope could do no wrong that day with us, whatever it was. Well, I got away third, and after 2 laps, I passed the both of them.
Boys, a dear.
And I got into the lead. Rob come by me again, and I got by him again. And from that on, lap after lap, they made nothing on me.
Did you won?
I had it won on to the last lap. Here we go again.
Boys, a dear.
Going on to the last lap, I had a 100-yard lead in the pair of them. All I had to do was ride around. The bike started to slow up. Oh, I says, no again. I definitely am jinxed, and it just gets slower and slower, and the two boys sailed by. And boy, I was, even thinking about it now, it annoys me.
It's a scunner, like.
So I come home, and I couldn't wait to get her strapped down to see if what it says, nothing it says. You know what had happened? There's an oil pump, and it lifts the oil out of the sump into the oil tank. It had broke, and the sump just filled right up with oil. Well, the engine on no rail.
So the compression.
Boy, when I seen that. It annoys me even to the day. And another thing that annoys me was they put it in the paper, Roy Reid had one of his best rides today. They didn't mention that I would have won it only for, they never mentioned that. But I can show you it there. Well, anyhow, it come the bike was going well and it was getting good places, and it come the Temple of Hunter. I like the Temple. A whole lot of folk know all the bumps and jumps.
That's the famous jumps, wasn't it?
Well, anyhow, I got away on the lead, and I come down to the hurt and looked back, there's nobody near me. Well, I got the head down, I says, this is it, and I better have it. And for lap after lap, that was it. And the next thing I heard that screaming behind me, and this RG 500 Suzuki flew by me, but I couldn't stay with it. And another lap, there was a Yamaha come by, I couldn't stay with it, but it was a good third. And I says, that'll do me, I'm on the podium. And got on to the last lap, doing Wally knows the place what they call the roller coaster. All these big hills, the shape of steeples. I hear this noise behind me, and I says, somebody's catching me here, but they blew past me here, and I held the silly flat out in top gear and up down Middle Hill. Well, I didn't know how far up in there I went, but I knew this. The back wheel never touched the road till I was at the bottom of that hill. You know what I done? Bent the valves, over-revved it.
Oh, boy.
Last lap. I got to the hurt and I was still in the lead. And there was a line, and I turned the throttle. Of course, she was missing, and this wheel just come by me on the line. Joe Ryan's Norton.
Oh, boy. That'll leave a tire tread last wide.
So that was an hour sickener. Well, anyhow, I was parked in the paddock, and as I said, you didn't get near Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan come to me. Boy says you were going well there the day. Well, I says, Joe, I bent the valves and the last. Oh, I thought what happened to you? But anyhow, he says, I have a spare bike on it, would you ride it? I says, Joe, if you'd have offered me that bike a couple of years, I would have broke your 2 arms to get it. And I says, Joe, if I took your bike, you would expect me to win on it, wouldn't you? Oh, why? Well, I says, I didn't care if he's on it now. There's no one for all these Yamahas are coming and the Suzuki's. They say the Nortons all are finished. Boy, why didn't he like that? I knew he'd be his face, he didn't like it. And I says to Joe, as far as buying a Yamaha concerned, I'll no be doing that. I hate them out things, and I know they're fast and all the rest of it. And as I tell you better than that, Joe, when this race is over at Carradore this year, I'm finished. How are you going to quit? I says, no point in me, but didn't he like 2 strokes, and I got a good run. Well, I come to the corridor that day, and this was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. I was determined that day to win the corridor. I was going to risk everything. It was my last chance. I'd finished second, but I wanted to win it. And I was running practice on the Sealy, and she was motoring, and then the flag dropped. And I was prepared, as I said, I was going to everything. This was my last chance. And I got away behind the leader and coming over the top of Curly on her, you at the gospel hall.
Yeah.
I pulled it to pass the leader. She died.
Oh. Did you nap upwards of seas or just...
No, she just put her dead stop.
Alright. Ignition problem?
It was a broken wire on the ignition. I come back to the paddock, boy, I was disillusioned. My last chance. And I will never get a chance again. And there's a man come over to me and he says to me, he says, boy, he says, I was glad to see you breaking down. I says, why? He says, I seen you before you knew it. I was watching you, he says, and you were determined that day to...
Do the business?
There was nothing going to stop you. And he says, you know something? He says, divine intervention stopped that bike. That's just what he meant. He says, the Lord stopped that bike on the day on you. Because if he hadn't, he says, I fear what would have happened to you.
Yeah, it would have killed yourself.
He says, you would have been in intensive care now, or worse. Now, he says, you had done your racing, content yourself. He says, look at the many times you were carried into hospital and you walked out, and think of all them poor lads that went in. They didn't walk in, they were carried out. Now, he says, my advice to you is just forget about it. And I did. I never rode in a road race ever in my life again. Well, about 6 months later, I would have checked the results, you know, the races. And all the boys like myself had bought these Yamahas. And they were starting to win on them. And then I got the notion, if I get a Yamaha,
Gotta go again.
you know. And then I thought to myself, hold on a minute, do I honestly think I'm going to be at the leg of Tom Hearn or Brian Steenson? And when I thought about it, I said, do you know something? If I had a new Yamaha, do you know what I would be finishing? Second, third and fourth, the same as the Sealy. That was it. Never rode a race.
You missed one year out, 1968.
Oh, hi. But that's so important. But only here, 60, good job you mentioned that, Wally. 1967, with the Isle of Man experience and all, it fairly helps you now. You're not among the best. And if a fast rider passes you, if you can hang on to him through one corner, you'll see a line through there that you would want what they learned for years. And in 68, I improved greatly with the Isle of Man experience. And I rode well that year, I know I did, and I finished in the leaderboard in every race. Well, anyhow, we always got the Ireland Saturday night, because you got the results of all the sporting events. And I was sitting reading it, and it happened up, and here's a photograph of me on it. And up above it said, Ballywalter rider Roy Reid is the new 500cc Ulster Road Racing champion. You talk about a shock. The Isle of Man was a shock. This was just, I knew nothing about this. There it was.
Brilliant.
Because that's because you were getting all the seconds and thirds. And you
It
were
was,
getting...
but see, it was worth in points. But what did they want today when I won it? You see, all these reporters and boys had their favourites. And they had the one already picked. But it didn't happen. So when the points were all tallied up, and that's the way it is in all Grand Prix races. That's the way it is today. But because I won it, imagine they wanted to change the rules.
That's desperate, isn't it?
I remember there was one particular, I'll no mention his name, but he was on about it at the paper, so I wrote him a nice polite letter. Never got any answer from him at all, you know. He had his winner picked, as Roy said, but Roy won it because he was there in every race. He was in the top three in every race that he was competing in, and that was it. He had accumulated enough points to win the race. And then they cheated you out of the next year. You want to tell them about that?
Oh, well, it's all water underneath the bridge now, and it's all forgotten about, and that was 50, 60 years ago, so there's no much particular about it, but I went to the Tandragee 100 the following year, 1969, with the intention maybe of winning it again. And you got points, you see. Well, I took the Old Norton up to the scrutineers, and as usual, and they wouldn't pass it.
Wouldn't he pass it?
No, they wouldn't pass it.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you why. They wanted me to go away and clean it all up. Well, I'd never cleaned the Norton.
Just greasy and oily.
Which sure didn't any harm. And I says, look, if you can find yon problem mechanical, I'll take it off the line. They wouldn't listen to me. No, they wouldn't pass me. So I had to bring it home, no points. Now here's, what do you hear this? I found this out later on. I was at a wedding reception and there was a man there who was one of the leading lights in the Motorcycle Union of Ireland. And Rosemary and I were sitting in this big room waiting and getting our dinner, you see. There was all these folk that were professors and doctors and all the rest of it. And they all started asking each other what they'd done for a living. One would have said, I'm a doctor, I'm a psychiatrist and all the rest of it. Come to Rosemary, says, well, what was your profession? She's just a stitcher in a factory. Everything went silent. And then they come round to me, Mr. Reid, what did you do for a living? Well, I says, I started off as a joiner, and then I started in an old garage, and I reared a whin of beast, and I bred a whin of pigs. And there was silence. I just tell them the truth.
Yes.
Well, this official was sitting here. Would you hear this? He says, what man didn't he tell you he was the Ulster Road Racing champion? Oh, that's made a big difference. I want to know all about that. Well, I says there's no much to tell you about it. And what did this man say to me? Remember the day at the Tandragee, they wouldn't pass your bike? Oh, I says, remember it all right. He says, they ganged up on you that day.
Why?
I says, what do you mean? He says, they ganged up on you so you wouldn't get right. I says, I don't believe what you're telling me. He says, that's true. He says, there was a lot of boys so jealous, and they were under the scrutineers, and they told them by no means pass Roy Reid's bike. I thought this was a sport, Andy. I couldn't believe.
That takes all the fun out of it. But there's one story I'll stick in my mind for the rest of the time. Maybe stealing Roy's thunder a bit here, but I know he went away to the Isle of Man one year. And sometimes he took Rosemary's shopping bag, and that's where the spanners and the tools was. But when he got off the boat in the Isle of Man, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would hear the pin dropping. And I remember Roy telling me, he says, this man come down with a wee Jack Russell dog. The dog didn't know what was going to happen, but Roy knew. So he said to your man, you'd better tie that dog to the pole, for whenever the Manx Norton would have fired up, it would have been ready for the hills. And this wee man, Roy says, could you give me a push with a bike? I said, I'll try. So she fired up, but he said whenever he was going to Peel, wasn't it you went into? He said the lights was coming on the houses, and he says, I got as fast as I could, and he said, look back, and he said, the wee dog was breaking the lead. And he said, he was going down the road lying in a tank as hard as she would go, and the next thing, I came out over this bit of the road and hear the boy stand in the middle of the road with his hand up. And he stopped and pulled Roy in the police, and he says,
Peter.
He says, where do you think you're gone? He says, I'm going to raid in the Isle of Man. Well, he said, have you any idea what speed you were doing there? And this is a restricted area. Oh, Roy says, oh, I was at least down a ton on him. He says, you know, I'm just waiting on boys like you. Well, Roy says, well, I got here as quick as I could. So he put Mike and Roy into the back of this van. He said to me, I don't think I'll be riding this year. And then he says the next thing, the old van rocked a bit, and he says, when I looked out, I could see the grass, and I knew we were at the pits. So he did get riding. The other thing sticks in my mind, he's talking there about the scrambling, and I'm not sure, what was the bike you had right at that time? With a sidecar on it?
Yes.
Oh, I need you.
Early Bell thing.
What was your T50, was you?
500.
500. It was a great poke on it anyway. I was only away in them when I was going to the Joe Boyle's field near the Nowhere School. Whenever the flag went down, it was like a bomb exploding, the rails and them things. And there was a boy locally in Ballywalter, Tommy Wilcock, with a red passenger for Roy. Well, I don't know how many years I went to, but they was the first lap. When Roy went off the line and getting a handful, Tommy went out the side door, and he had to stop for him in the second lap and get him in again. And I never forgot that.
So Tommy Wilcox was your chairman.
The best passenger ever I had. I had about 20 and if they went in Jens, they never come back.
Water boy.
Well, Tommy, I'll tell you now, I'll repeat it. He was the best passenger I ever had.
Aye, Tommy's a gentleman, I know him well.
That's it.
He tried to get me in there, but I wasn't interested at all.
Yeah.
But having me running the country on old touring bikes, he seen photos of it, and I was at a funeral for the Honra.
Mm-hmm. Oh, aye.
And I heard a voice behind me, and I said, "That's McConnell." And I turned and that's Constable McConnell, and he knew it. He says, "Do you know you?" And I told him, and I says, "Look, if I tell you two names, you'll think." He says, "Go ahead." I says, "Reid and Crummy." He says, "You two boys still alive?" he measured the footpath in Ballywalter. He ran the footpath the whole road up by McConnell standing in the middle of the street in a push bike. And I come up and there wasn't any colour sheets. He says, "You're hard." I says, "I'm just left the house and going to get petrol to go to." He says, "You would buy me there 100 mile an hour." He says, "The footpath, if somebody had stepped in the door, he'd killed them dead." He said, "He would have killed McConnell that day. Like, if you had to have took the footpath, you'd have killed him. Oh, you would have killed him standing at the post office corner, boy, with a big rally bike across the road trying to stop a Bonneville down for 115 mile an hour."
Davy Brown, you knew Davy.
Oh, the Colonel.
The Colonel.
The
The Colonel pulled it at me. You see, I would have worked away late at night to get their bike ready. And you had to get everything ready, so your life was depending on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Davy would have come and what he had done, and I was a pollution. And this was Wednesday night, the night before the Cookstown 100. And Davy was sitting at the back of the bike spinning the wheel run. He says, "Come here quick." I says, "What's wrong?" He says, "That's tyres cut in the middle." And there's a cut about that length right through the middle, you can see the tube. So Davy says, "What are you going to do?" Well, I says, "In the condo, I need spare tyres or nothing." But he says, "What we'll do is," he says, "we'll go up and watch it in the morning." So on to it. When Davy went away, I went down to Benny Dixon's. It was late. I unlocked the door. He says, "What are you doing at my door at this time of the night?" I said, "Benny, I have a problem." "What is it?" "There's I'm racing in the Cookstown tomorrow, and there's a cut in the back tyre, but you put a gator on it." "Gator on it?" He says, No. He says, "I'll be putting a gator in a racing bike."
Oh, yeah.
I says, "Benny, nothing else." Well, he says, "You're in the wrong place." He said, "If that blew out on you," he says, "I would never live it down." Well, I says, "Benny, look, doesn't matter what happens, you'll know who to blame." And he come, right enough, he come out of the garage and he put a gator on it, and I come home and put it all on. And I was ready to go the next morning, and I looked out and Davy sitting in the passenger seat. And I got on alongside him and up the road. There was an old petition in the van, you know, about this. You know, "Hey boy," says the Norton's in there. "What's that down there?" I says, "I'm going to race it." "We're cutting the tyre." "Oh no," I says, "it's all fixed, there's a gator on it." The whole road to Cooks, and you want to hear what I heard about gators, they never shut up. They'll hail you through the hedge, and he kept, "That's a fag," and he started. Boy, I was glad to see Cookstown. But anyhow, that day there, Norton was going well, and we're running practice, and the flag dropped. Cecil Crawford got away first, and the Ryan Norton, and Hearn and me got away together. Hearn was on a brand new water-cooled Yamaha.
That's Tom Hearn.
Tom Hearn. Oh, I'll show you the rating at all of his time. Well, him and I hammered it out, lap after lap for second place. He would have passed me, I passed him. And it's on the motorcycle news, it was hair racing laps, so it must have been tight going. But on the last lap, I knew I couldn't catch him, and my old bike, I says, it's going to rattle us a little bit. I finished third, and then it was a big bit in the paper. Well, anyhow, I come in, and the whole crowd get round to, not to congratulate me, but to say the way they were Norton had hung on to this Yamaha. Who pushed their way up to the very front? The Colonel. He'd like to be in the limelight. Well, I got him with the arm, and I said, Davy, before you speak, if you want to be successful in a motorbike race, make sure you get her in the back tyre. I'll not tell you what he said.
I'm sure they're repeatable. Oh my, money's an actor. I remember when I was a wee fella, and David Benner was talking with my dad, and I can remember then him talking about you racing and stuff, you know, and that's 40 years ago.
Far longer.
It's 50 years ago. I'm
50,
60. I'm 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Would be.
You know.
How long had you the Bonneville, Roy, with a big dust burn faring on her?
That was
Well,
something, boy.
I had it. I bought that in about, what, 1960. And then I started racing in 62, and I couldn't keep all them things.
No.
We'll say a couple of years.
Well, I was 69. You give me a ride on it. No longer actually had got it. Boy, it was unreal. The only thing was, if you can buy a feeling the gate was up and no one was coming through it, but it put you over the other side of the road.
Like a seal, just.
But it was, that was the fastest ever. They had
Well, that was
them
the
after
big-
that.
They were for export only, and this boy had got one of them, and he come to live in Belfast, and I seen it advertised, and I went up and bought it.
It was timed down at 115 mile an hour.
I used to take the,
But a wee strip of 8 inch of road, an inch wide, to make you stop.
Oh, aye.
when I was working on Hugh Thompson's, at the other time I used to take the sailors off and test her up and down the road.
Aye.
Well, Hugh, when he went down for the papers, or Peter Lundy will tell you, he took somebody with him, he wouldn't get it. But this day he had Kelvin with him. And I was away doing the plumb by Billy Walter and Billy Halbert. And I come up over McCormick's Hill, and here's the chief driving along at 30 mile an hour. And I come over going flat out, and I went by his window. And he put the front wheel into the one shock of WD birds. And he says,
No, it will.
he says to Kelvin, who's that clown? Kelvin says that's who it was. He says if he lives, he'll be in the yard before us half an hour.
That was the chief.
But where do you hear that? Sammy Fisher came into the yard one morning on the frost on his motorbike. He fell off it, broke his collarbone.
Oh dear.
Sammy says, I'll let you get to the doctor. I says, get onto the pillion and I'll run to the big house and Hugh will take you up. And we're just going out to the end of the lawn and honor who's coming in but Hugh and the Cambridge. What's the matter? I says, Sammy needs to get to a doctor. Well, he says, park your motorbike there and take the car. I parked it in the main road. So I got Sammy to the doctor, and coming back, instead of going direct and over, I went away round to Billy Walter. Boy, I was enjoying this motor. And I wanted to see what speed it would do, because they were sitting nice and warm. And I come over to McCormick's Hill and way in the distance I seen, these clowns sitting on my motorbike. So I decided to give an exhibition. Dike to dike to get her up in two wheels, you see. And it was day and I was getting her up in two wheels. And I seen this clown getting off the motorbike. And the first thing I twigged was this hat waving.
On the stick? I've seen that before myself.
It wasn't a clown, it was the chief.
Oh dear.
The last man on earth I thought would have been sitting on a motorbike. And I come up to him and he says, there's something wrong with your steering. I says, no. He says it's desperate and away he went. Another farmer with a sack.
Aye, that was the chief. He was exceptional, so he was. Him and Lizzie Kay, the son. I'm just wondering how much more tape I have this year. It's going to be getting pretty low.
But you got to be better recording for it, don't you?
Aye, that must be the guts of her.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got out session.
If he's want to see some of them out photos.
I bring them out there.
Still record. You head up at the photos there, and I'll just let this run, and we'll just maybe try and get a wee bit of
The good old days. we enjoyed it, but when I had the bike, they had the big bikes then, you know.
Well, they
running
put the
around.
big lift on them. Because, there's a lot of these here, and if you get fed up looking at them, just say that's enough. Don't even put my on them here.
Only the time I went along and sat in the shade and me yarning the early hours of the morning, you know, never thought any sense. But
It's far better than watching television.
but them,
Yeah.
Well, there's there's the 1963 car door on it. You seen no mud gutters on it or not?
Boys, that's you.
Aye, and the spray of the back wheel was meeting the front.
Boys, it must have soaking. Absolutely rang 'em.
Oh, it was so good.
But I tell you what I'll do. Do you see that tape I have?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get it done to you. And it's the 1965, 60 or 66 season. Now it's done in a Sunny camera
Aye.
and put on the videotape, and it's new on a DVD.
Oh,
and you'll
worth
see
the
that
watching.
race in it that he's talking about at Carcassonne that day.
Mm-hmm.
And Creeth couldn't get near him. And then that's the next thing I seen. Creeth can buy him.
Mm-hmm.
It was only after that he told me what had happened.
Marvellous.
And it was some racing that day, and it was you know, all the other day. What see if it going now? They wouldn't have let you race.
Oh
You
no.
wouldn't.
That was a Sealy, that was Isle of Man. First year roller on it.
Boys, it's a nice looking yoke.
We're a lovely bike, series.
Aye.
I wonder.
I'm in some of them riding the corridor and Temple and that whenever
Oh,
I would have been sort of the late 70s, early 80s, you know.
He's
Well,
talking
what
about
breed of a bike was that, Roy? If it's Sealy?
matches.
Matchless?
Max's engine on it,
But
special
He,
frame.
he was talking about that wee S band. This how up to Warnick's farm. That was an
Aye.
S band. There's wee walls on it. And
That
that's
was,
where I saw
that
it.
was the first
And
day out in
watched
the
Artie
Sealy.
Bale.
That was Curtis and
Artie
the very
Bale.
first
I
day out
watched.
on her.
I remember right. Watched Artie Bale that day.
Aye, that's right.
Sitting in that wee S band, and Billy Noble with his leg tied up. He had a game leg
But
and a flat tank Norton.
that was
And he
the
tied the leg up the side of it
You serious? And rode the bike?
with a wooden leg tied up the side of her.
Boys, a dear.
That was a nice bike there.
That is.
Sealy.
Aye. So Sealy was a matchless
Oh, match
with a special frame.
That was the first day. That was the same day on the. And I says to myself that day, this was my
Good
first
photo.
day out on her, and
Is that you there, the number one?
no, I'm going to go for the one here. I got the bike.
He was the world champion. He was the British Irish champion that year. So he had
That's the
medals
year
about
of
it.
500 champion.
Aye, he won the championship in that.
I'm going to one here the day. I was confident she had the Sealy. And I got a whole shot out. I was raving so then. 3 strides, I had it done and bumping away.
Yes.
I was running Fisherman's first. And then it was just straight to the hairpin. Flat out, all you had to do was wind it. I heard this noise and Joe Ryan's Norton come alongside and he just looked at me. Poor God, the hurt me 20 years old. The race was over. That's going over, you heard of Ballock Bridge in the Isle of Man?
Ballock,
Yeah.
aye.
That's going over Ballock Bridge.
You hear them well.
I remember seeing
Ballock Bridge, that's the end where they're airborne ever.
Oh, I heard
Aye.
one
Is that the Sealy, Roy, is it?
That's the Sealy.
That's a good photo, boy.
You only bikes new, right?
I had a couple of other bikes there. Well, you heard me talking about Carcassonne, how what it was,
Aye.
and I had to pull the goggles off. But look at the road shining on, and look where my goggles are. Can you see them down the neck?
Alright enough.
There you are.
Enough.
Where-
Not there.
where-
That would be done boys chat.
Good photo.
Oh, I remember it was I was at Fisherman's, as they call it.
Aye.
I was able to get a good shot, get them coming round and going away from me. Every lap was on it. And it was great to get it, you know, the record of it's there to be seen by anybody.
I mean, I'm putting that chickie in him. That was it was a short time after that Ernie Coach's brother Wallace was killed.
Aye,
The
you know,
sidecar.
He had the van, parked
Aye.
van.
The van shouldn't have been there.
Shouldn't have been there, he was empty.
The van had been there, he would have been way across the field, he'd been 100%. Anyway.
I was telling you there about the Cookstown crash, the way
Yes.
down Norton, there's the way she finished up.
What did I tell you?
Boy, she's rough looking.
Do you see the boy, see the bike he had? That boy wrote a book. He raced as the Saint. And you know the wee stick man on
Aye.
his helmet.
Aye.
And he called himself the Saint and he wrote his life story. And he said about entering the Cookstown, he had got this, was Monty and Ward, Roy? The Monty and Ward bike he had.
A brand
Brand new.
new.
And he said he came in to Cookstown and he says along came a local jockey and a dirty Northern Emirates so and he cut him clean in two. He cut your man's bike in two halves.
Oh, boy.
And her brand new.
Well, I remember I was telling you the first time I went to Tondergee, I couldn't even get by my gosh.
Yes.
But there's a photo of it, and if you want to read it there, but you need to bother it in, it took a lot long, but there, that's what was happening, just show it there these days.
And there's Tommy Hearn behind you there.
Well, Ryan had two Nortons, Roy, hadn't he?
Who?
Ryan.
Okay,
Where, I remember one day, Cecil Crawford was in Jan McGregor was in the other, and they come down. Yeah, I could hear this bike coming down the hill by us as it's a queer distance out in front of that, and he came through the brig, and she got up into the air, but she didn't come back down. She came right on over, and the other boy wasn't that far behind. He was about maybe 100 yards behind. But when he came out over the hill, the bike was lying in the middle of the road. I can't remember if it was Crawford and McGregor that was first or second. And he cut the front wheel, the forks and handlebars clean off the alien. And went into the hedge on her at Robert Robeson's.
I had that on
Steve
a film.
Orleans.
I had that on a film, and I can't even find it. I got it a fortnight to go, said that for Roy had warned him about the bomb hole. And you can see the bikes going down and the telegraph pole bending where he had it. And I had it up here and was showing it. And while these two boys are round about the middle of the road, this Norton goes up the hedge on the left hand side and down and past it. And Rosemary says, "Do you know who that is in that Norton there?" And Roy says, "That's him." He didn't even remember because there was that much carnage in the road in front of him. He just concentrated and get out of the road.
Oh, aye.
Do you remember I was telling you about running out of petrol and they laid him on the last lap?
Aye.
And but I had to push to the line. Well, there was a motorbike man come up here for Dublin twice a year ago, and he says, "I have a photo for you." I says, "Aye, that's good." He says, "I mean the day that you're exhausted, push him to the line." Oh, I said, "I'll never forget it." But he says, "I took that photograph of you. See the boys pointing at the line, telling me to keep pushing and pushing."
Aye. Brilliant, right? You had that man wrote that because that means when anybody looks at that, they can say, "What's the connection there?" We're sitting here now and we're looking through photographs and bits of paper and reminiscing.
And that was stuck at him. I had 1, 2 or 3 things that year. That was just after I got there in Norton.
That's you, a young man there with a beard now.
Oh, you had a beard.
The first time I showed a boy that photograph with him and me, and he's in the Bonneville alongside me, and he says, "I didn't know you had a motorbike and sidecar." I says, "That's no motorbike." I says, "That's Roy Reid in his Bonneville." He says, "That's no Roy Reid." I said, "No." I says, "Sure, he's no beard and that." I says, "He wasn't even shaven when that was done."
Well, my gearbox seized in the Grand Prix, I never tell you that.
And the Ulster Grand Prix?
The Ulster Grand Prix, and I was lugged down the road. There it is.
How's it there? Look at that.
I know what's on it, a sore backside.
Comes back to bite you, alright. Where did that happen, that Roy?
Coming into the hurt, very lucky what happened, Gibson, because
Yeah, you're going slow.
it happened in Rushy Hill.
Aye.
It would have been very, very serious. Very serious.
But I'm sure you look back, Roy, and wonder how you come through it all the time, like.
Well, do you know what I'm going to tell you on this? I always put my trust in the Lord.
Aye, I was saying that myself.
And before I went to a race in the morning, I always prayed he'd bring me back again. And he did. And look at the many times I was carried into hospital.
And come back out again.
And I never spent a night in hospital. Never. And that night I would have signed my slip and got crutches and come home on them. Been bandaged up and stitched up. But he always got me here. That was a rate up there in the paper. I think there's a photograph there in there. So. That was that money out photos here and everything and that.
Oh, Kettle Gate and the TT.
And there was the result of that Grand Prix crash. That's on Gillar their bike up.
Mm-hmm. You can see the grass there. There's heading away, heading up next to the crossroads, Dover crossroads.
Is that still on, huh?
Oh, it's still going on. Mm-hmm.
He has a photograph there, maybe he hasn't got it, but the boy, maybe the end when the marshal was killed.
Aye.
He had that photo there for a long time, boy. And I was there that day at Haven, the photo's there, and you can see the marshal running down the road for the bike that had crashed, and the boys behind him, and the back was locked, the back wheels in the air, and he couldn't avoid him straight up there. Killed him staying deep on the roadside.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of Phil Reid?
Yes.
That's Phil looking at my bike there at the Ulster.
Is he friend of yours? No.
No. He wouldn't want to be a friend of mine.
What sort of bike's that, Roy?
That's a Norton.
What's just a full fair on the front
Aye,
right now?
that was pretty at long. What do you hear that? It's a good job Rosemary's no here. I got a letter from a German woman. Wanting a photograph and all of it around of it. And I often, if you can read it there yourself, I'll read it there, Gibson, you can read better than me.
I'll try it. Dear Mr. Reid, I'm 20 years old and become enthusiastic for motorsport already 2 years. I'm going to some races in Germany and in Russia. From this I like to photograph the autographs from known riders all over the world. Certain is my hobby, unusual for a girl, but I have great interest in the motorsport and it gives me much pleasure. I have already much heard of you. Therefore I would have a picture from you. I requested you courteous to send me a photo with signed from you. Is it possible? There I had not your address. I have right to the Motorcycle Union and their sportsmen have sent me.
Good job, Rosemary.
Please, Mr. Reid, send me only a photo from you. Our customers confiscate that's because of the SSR. Confiscate all our things. I hope you have understood my bad English and hope for your answer. In the future, I wish you many successes. Many thanks for your friendly support to complete my collection. Yours sincerely, Rain.
Did you ever send her the photo? Did you send it?
Reinhold Rigner.
All right, no, right.
It's lovely writing, right? It really is. It's lovely writing.
But you're talking about the last lap.
Mm-hmm.
Andy's last lap. Read that. That's two Ryan's Norton there behind me.
Where were you riding out there?
Bergen Park.
Oh, Bergen, right.
Bergen.
What sort of a course was that, Roy? Tight, was it?
That was tight.
The width of a good fit pod.
Oh, I just.
Well, I have a problem. It's on, see that tape I tell you about? It's on it. Lurgan Park's on it. And Bertie Mann won the races because he had a scrambler and set up, and it was that narrow track. He was able to cope it into the corners and with the foot down and get away for the acceleration, the two-stroke to get into the corners. And he was winning all the races. I have a photograph of Roy on this on the paper.
That was,
I think
the,
the back tire
that
here,
was the
yeah.
start of the 65 Corridor Hunter. Riding with a broken collarby, and there's
What is it, dear?
the three of us across the line, look.
Alright, no. There was no clutch starts then, it was all push.
Oh yeah, but sure.
That was on the Sergeant Lake Bully. Maybe you could read that there. Just the last wee bit.
I would need to put the glasses on. I wouldn't need to see it, no. Two Benelli's my race in Ulster.
Just the last wee bit, what it said about what happened, mate.
This and this here, I'm near them. Like, I haven't read it.
The last wee bit.
You can see it. With the N-E.
We're going to get to me.
What's that in there?
Just the last wee bit of it there.
Are the wee writing?
Probably the bigger writing.
Bigger writing?
It's at the very end.
Aye.
I'll put my glasses on in the background there. Rosary stands.
Yes,
Mm,
yes,
one.
there, help
She's
me.
standing the other side of the hedge.
No, that's right.
And
It's
glasses just pointed out.
here.
I had that told on the house.
Ulster Grand Prix
That's a wee corner over in
award.
the back. I thought the back tire was flat that day.
Yeah.
Is that far down?
Or possible starter.
Great photos there, man.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Aye.
This was in the paper.
2 Benellis.
That about that. It says, while on the subject of the TT, congratulations to Billy McCosh for finishing 8th. Now that was quite good going on the TT, wasn't it? You had to get them. And the senior, but especially to Roy Reid of Billy Walter, who on his first visit to the island finished 28th. Yes, Roy will certainly remember the TT, especially Craig Nabar, where his brakes failed at the sharp right-hander, and he was forced to take a slip road through the front door of a pub.
That's true.
Is that right?
I was there
That's
that
what
day.
What is it? That's serious.
I think it's serious.
Will I tell you, I spoke to him after it. You know what he said to me? And you know all he had in
Come
his
to a
drink.
pub.
He just says, you know, I didn't drink. He landed in the Craig Navar bar.
That's a good job the front door was on.
As I was pulling her out and getting that boy able to use George Formby. I did a bit of scrambling when I was young.
What's the big one up there?
Would you prefer the scrambling of the road racing?
Oh no, the road racing was my
That was your thing.
Oh, that's 40.
It's a disease, right, isn't it?
Andy, you're right.
It's a disease.
It's like on a sports like that, motorsport, you had to have a real thirst for it.
Oh,
But
You know.
what sticks in my mind, when I can see Roy today, yeah, as it's clear, and that scramble in Joe Boyle's field would have been when Roy would have been the 60s.
I early 60s.
But I can see Roy going run. It was a tight out course, and he would have had her locked like that there, and the tyre was so bent you would have thought it was going to come off the rim. She was pushing that hard, you know. But there must have been some lifting that old bike to do that. Like.
That one was a special. I didn't know it at the time. There was 2 of them built. One was built for Artie Bell, and the other was built for the world champion Les Graham. I didn't know that. And there was a bronze head on it. And
There was some going it.
oh, there was some go on it. But anyhow, that day I went to first day I took her out at Boylesfield. The Johnny Brown, you know, we kept you another going, and Johnny arrived at a Grand Prix triumph. He says, Reid, you only need a chance of the day. And he come this Grand Prix triumph up. Well, I took off the lane, well, there's a photo, and this is a motorbike sidecar. Abner fled it.
in the air.
It's alright, got sold, he didn't have a sidecar. And got on the top, right enough, Johnny and this Grand Prix triumph, no on top band. Johnny was leading. The next thing, Johnny never attempted to make a corner, so it went straight on. And the last I seen of Johnny was the soles of his boot.
Yes.
So when you
For the
went
night.
off the lane, all you could see was a cloud of stains and dirt boy, and the field, like whenever you got the clutch
They
hit.
weren't hurt. And I says, Johnny, you'll need to know the road in this course if you're going to win. That was on the motorcycle news to say I had finished 3rd. You need to read it unless you want. Of course he won it by hours. So that was a wee bit for me.
Where did McCosh stay, Roy?
Hey,
Where did he come from, McCosh?
Billy Mina.
There's a place, they do a wee shop somewhere
He's
between
deep now.
Ballymena and like Durban direction.
I don't know, he had a lot of stuff.
I
I
mean,
had that bike he's talking about. There's a real. I had a photo. That's a good photo. Artie Bell riding it, and a grass track in England.
Well, what I tell you is this. I had an A350 to ride in the TT. And there's a boy says to me, John Hart was no riding for St. Lawton because he's hurt. He says, go to,
Names I heard out of the way.
he says, go to St. Lawton and see would he lend you John Hartle's bike. And the chairman of the Bass District Motorcycle Club, where we went round was to get settled up, and I had a big do, it was all fancy bow ties and all. And what I should do was dress up, but I had no clothes, I had just an old jersey and a pair of bricks on. And I knew the minute he looked at me. So I asked him, could I ride it? He says if you can get clearance from the TT organisers, you can have it. There's a letter I wrote to them. And they said yes, he can ride the Armagh. So I went to Lawton the next day and I said, there's a letter. I should have changed my mind.
What CC was that, Roy?
350.
350.
I had no 350.
I've been a quick old bike, man.
Oh, but it was one of the best bikes. And you see, if you can get it in two classes, I had only the end bike. If you can ride in a 350 race, that gets you.
I get you more
Experience
flow.
on the track.
But he turned on me, turned short.
What was that there, Mac? That was a conglomeration as well, wasn't it? Same as like a.
And the engine lay
The engine lay forward.
way loading on them. And they could rev. Oh, they were the thing before the Yamahas. Did you boys know that I sent was going to ride in the TT at Hassan? Did you know that?
No.
There's a letter. I sent away for an entry form to get to ride in the TT because the minute the TT was over, all the continental boys and the boys from England all headed to Hassan. So I said I'd go along with them, and I was all set, and I sent there's a letter and all. I got back to say that they were very sorry. You can read the letter if you want. That it was a bit late and they were oversubscribed and they were very sorry. So they didn't get going in the class. Well then I sent away for an entry form for the Belgian Grand Prix. See, I had a full international license.
Yeah.
I could ride in any Grand Prix in the world. The license is lying there. And that was the same thing. It was too late. So I regret it. I would love to. It wouldn't be even younger than, you know.
Yeah.
That's the letter.
There's
all the letters.
Is that the Dutch TT?
By the Dutch.
Oh,
But anyhow,
I think the boys all liked that because it was very like a road race.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was the nearest thing on short circuit you'd get to a proper road race, and it was
that was
why they all went
a
there.
thing they wrote in about me and put a photograph in walking years ago. I don't know how long ago that is. There's cuttings here, Andy, and I know what I'm going to tell you. You'll be here this time tomorrow.
And you wouldn't
Looking
have
through
them.
But them things that got our treasure trove. You know, that's the sort of thing. That's stuff. You can't replicate that. You know,
No.
to me it's like living history.
Aye, well, it
Well,
was,
that's-
well, look at it. It was nice to see somebody thought of you. That was the day at the start of the carriage war, the day I was second on it. Tell you about that anyway.
Is that was in Orden?
That's an Orden. And could you want to hear a hard luck story? Maybe you didn't want to hear it.
Get the hard luck story and then we'll hit
Yeah,
it finish.
No, I'm not going to go and tell you about a hard luck story.
Now you start it, you hit it go on, you hit it tell the story, you start it now.
There's a man come up to me here 2 years ago. And he said, do you know me? I said, I haven't a clue who you are. Well, he says, I'll tell you, I took photos for the Spectator or the Chronicle, I can't remember what. And he says, I was in Isle of Man in 1971. And he says, I took a photo of it and I put it in the Spectator or the Chronicle. He says, do you remember? I says, to tell you the truth, I think I had it somewhere, I cut it out. Well, he says, I had the original wee photo. Would you like a copy of it? Oh, I says, aye. He says, I'll get the young blue up. So I went, and I never seen him for 2 years. I thought he forgot about me, and I come up one day, he says, I got the photo blue up for you. He says, well, I wasn't here. I had underlying health problems. He said, I was scared to go out in case I got the COVID. So he said, I got the photo blue up, and I was expecting, he had a wee photo this size, you know, this size. Now, the bigger you make it, the less definitions on it. It says there you are. Okay, look at the definition on it. There's the before they took it out.
Boy, that's a good
Isn't it clear?
dark there. Clear's, that's,
If you know the bigger you make it.
Yes.
aye, that's right.
The definition is good enough.
Those dents.
What bike's that, Roy?
That's the sailor.
Silly, I thought.
Aye, that's the sailor man.
You can tell by the shape of the firm.
This,
Mhm. You work away there. There we go.
Okay, there's other round books there, but I'll do bore you with tears. I'm sure you are cyclists not there.
Well,
What
he-
different sizes was there on Norton's, Roy?
Pardon?
Was there a 250 or a 350
What?
on Manx Norton's?
Yours pay it?
Right.
there was the maybe 250 special.
I get it, but it was special.
The special that was built for Tommy Robb. He raced it in the northwest.
Mhm.
It was sleeve down or
That's some
something,
job.
and it was
Aye.
set lower in the frame with the low boy that got it.
Some
Lord-
jobs
Lord
do
Santa
that.
Gravel.
Monty and Ward, but the company that made it.
Well, gentlemen, that was very interesting. We covered a lot of ground tonight, and a lot of years.
Right. Certainly round a lot of the years back the next Gibson.
Alright, so we'll say thank you very much to Andy Brown,
Wally Crumb.
Wally Cromley, that's it, I just took a blank there, and Mr. Roy Reid. This is Gibson Young signing off for Kintra for Blackthorn Production. We'll catch you again sometime with more exciting stories from the Low Country.
Good crack.